we pretty much ended the last tutorial with the following example. We wanted to pass the variable from somewhere outside of the function to inside of the function. So keeping up with the plant analogy, let's say that we're delivering a note to the plant. We throw the note to the person inside the plant, and before the note, he knows that he's some type of plant, but after the note, he knows that he's an automotive plant, for example. He could do with the note whatever we tell him to do, such as read it out loud. So how do we pass the note from outside of the plant to inside of the plant? So let's look at the syntax and then go over some terms. So we'll have function name, and this is one we covered inside the last tutorial, and then we have the function body. Now inside these parentheses, we can add arguments, and when we are declaring arguments inside the parentheses, we're actually calling them parameters. So we'll have, for example, parameter 1, parameter 2, etc., and each parameter is separated by a comma, and we can name these parameters whatever we want. So like I said, when we call the function, then we pass arguments. But when we declare the function, we call these pretty much variables. We call them parameters. So then we can call this function name and pass parameter 1 and parameter 2. And parameter 1 would be, for example, subscribe. Parameter 2, please. So let's take a look at this example in the browser, see what happens. And it's blank. So of course this function does nothing when we look at it in the browser because you still haven't subscribed. Or it could be that the function body is empty. So let's go back to our plant example. And what we're going to do is we're going to be modifying this function. So I'm just going to move it below this function. And so to the plant function, we want to pass an argument. So what we're going to say is type of plant will be passed here. Now that means that we can go ahead and delete that. Well, yeah, we can just go ahead and delete it completely. And it's going to know once we call the function and we set the argument to whatever, that it's going to get passed from this point to that point right there. So now we can say plant automotive, and we can even say plant vegetable. So we can go ahead and save that, go to our browser, hit refresh, and it says I'm an automotive plant and I am a vegetable plant. Now it seems like we're going to have to pass value each time that we call plant, but what if we wanted to have a default plant, a default value? What can we do? Well, in PHP, a parameter can have a default value. So we're going to have function plant2, and inside here it's going to say the exact same thing. I'm a type of plant, and we're going to name this type of plant as well. So far pretty much identical with the exception of the function name being different. So how do you set the default value? Well, you just set equals automotive. So now plant2 has this parameter called type of plant, and it's assigned a default value of automotive. So if you call plant2 without passing an argument, then it's automatically going to say, hey, I'm an automotive plant. So let's go ahead and give that a shot. So we'll call plant2 with nothing, and then we'll call plant2 with, for example, Subaru. Right, open up our browser, and it says I'm an automotive plant, which is the default value, and then I am N, which should be a Subaru plant. So I guess what we can do, if we want to be grammatically correct, just put that in parentheses, or you can equal A or N. Now, is this a hard rule, whether you can either have a default value or not? Well, no, you can have some parameters and set them to default value, and others as not having that option. Just know that you will have to declare all of the ones that are required before the ones that are optional. Otherwise, PHP will be confused. So we're going to, for example, create function car, and we're going to pass a few different, or we're going to declare a few different parameters. So we're going to say brand and model are definitely required, but transmission has a default value of manual. Like all cars should have a default manual, not automatic transmission. And you can say you just bought a brand space model dot in a or n, depending if it's manual or automatic. Hopefully not automatic. And then we're going to say transmission. All right. So now you call car, and you can say something like Subaru for the brand, WRX STI, and because the STI only comes in a manual transmission, you can omit this last portion and it's automatically going to default to manual. Or you can say car, Jeep, for example, Wrangler, and then you can specify what the type of transmission you want. So let's say you do want an automatic transmission this time. It will go ahead and say automatic. If you entered a manual transmission right here, it will override this manual keyword or this manual value right here, but it's pointless since we already have a default value manual. So just for an example purpose, we're going to set this one to automatic. And if we hit refresh, it says you just bought a Subaru WRX and a manual transmission, and you just bought a Jeep Wrangler and an automatic transmission. So what I'll also do is just add a little break right here to make it a little bit clearer. And there we go. To kind of end this tutorial, yes, you can call a function many times with different arguments and it will produce different results for you every single time. So let's do one more example with a topic that I know most people hate, which is math. And let's do something simple. So let's say function do secret calculation, and this secret calculation is going to be accepting two arguments, and we're going to declare two different parameters right here. So secret number 1 and secret number 2. So we'll say, we'll do some kind of calculation in here. So secret number 1 times 19, and y is equal to secret number 2 times 34. And then we can say z is equal to x plus secret number 1 minus secret number 2 plus y. So then we could say if z is equal, or actually better yet, greater than or equal to 0, echo you got the correct numbers, else echo you have the wrong numbers. So then we can call function do secret calculation, and we can pass, for example, 20 and 2 in the first one. I don't know, something that I might think might generate the wrong answer. 3 and negative 30. Let's see what happens. So we're going to go ahead and add a couple of break tags. Open up our browser. You got the correct numbers. And for the second one, you have the wrong numbers. So we can see the functions can grow in size as much as we need them to, but do functions only display echo statements? Well, no, functions can return values as well. So we'll take a look at that in the next tutorial.